Microsoft Excel 2003 Data and Content Formatting, Cells Advanced. Now, we all know how we can do some great formatting on our cells, but what about some other features that take it to the next level? Whenever you talk about data and content formatting, you will eventually get into some more advanced type of abilities, including how to use things like Format Painter and Style, so that way we can take current formats or formatting and apply it to other parts of our workbook. Styles as well help us to maybe preset this type of formatting, so as we move from workbook to workbook, we can borrow these styles and use them. How do we fill in content sometimes by automatically just selecting and dragging the cells? We can do that. And then finally, we're going to take a look at hyperlinking and how it's not just going out to a web page. You can actually maneuver between worksheets, between different applications. There's a lot of cool things that we can do with that. Now, in a previous video, we've already shown you some of the cool ways that we can format things, but there's so much more that we want to show to you, including, let's find out how we can maybe add some titles and format maybe just not just one cell, but multiple cells together, or what something's called merging. We're also going to take a look at highlighting and some other things that we've already seen, but you're really going to find this really cool. For example, right here I've opened up another one of the files that you have available to you. It's called Unformatted PTO Content 2. And the reasons it's 2 is I've added a few other things here that I'll show you in just a moment. But let's say we wanted to title this table that we are going to create. And you notice I've added a little bit more information now. I've added the dates, date of birth, and a little bit more. But let's say I wanted to put a title right here. Now, the problem is, and you've all seen this, right? I want a title that stretches across this area. Well, what am I going to do? Well, what I'm going to have to do is merge these cells together from A1 to E1, so that way the title, and then center it, so that way the title will appear over the whole table that we're going to produce. Sound cool? Well, it is. Watch this. The first thing we're going to do is figure out what the title is going to be. In this case, this is perhaps the 2006 Employee PTO Availability. And my typing is good, so I go ahead and down arrow, hit enter. Now notice, right now though, this is all one cell. It's on this first cell. See, there it is, 2006 Employee PTO Availability. At any point in time, if I type here in B, and I type in, we'll just say Word, and I go down, notice it cuts off because that's an individual cell. So let me go in here, let me delete that. What I'm going to want to do is select the range of the cells that I want to merge. So I'm going to select A1 all the way through E1. And then up here you're going to see a little button that says Merge and Center. When I click on that, watch what happens. Voila! It has now taken all these cells and created literally one big cell, and it has now centered the text on those cells. Now, if I wanted to move it all the way over, I could do that if I wanted, or I could justify it all the way to the right as well, just by using one of these buttons. I can go all the way to the left, I can go all the way to the right. But titles you usually want to be centered. So that makes sense. And here again, and this is a little bit of review, but I could then at this point select this material and say I want it to be bigger. So I'm going to make it a 12 point, and I'm going to bold it. And let's say I want to color that cell and shade it. I can use the fill color here. We'll go ahead and select something that's kind of nice to look at. We'll say a sky blue. And now I have my title of my table, and I've used the merge and center capability, which is right up here, and I went ahead and added a little bit more formatting using the formatting toolbar. Now, I know what you might be thinking. Do I have to go in and do this formatting for each and every individual cell? Absolutely not. I mean, come on, this is Excel 2003. We have ways of doing things quickly and efficiently, one of which, well, there's two, the first being the Format Painter. If you notice up here, you got a little paintbrush that says Format Painter when I hover over it. I go ahead and I select a cell, and I click on the Format Painter. It will then grab all the formatting that is associated with that particular cell. In this case, we've got the bold, the Arial, we've got the sky blue, and notice my icon has changed now to the paintbrush with the little placement icon, so I can click on one of the cells. Now, one thing that I want you to watch it not only takes advantage of just like the coloring and the font and the other things. This is a merged cell, isn't it? This is A1 through E1. That is part of the formatting. So if I selected, like let's say here on the employee, because I want the employee to be bold and Arial and have sky blue, it would also perform the merge function. Watch. I click on it and, oh, hey, what happened to all my stuff? Well, it merged all those cells, A2 through E2, and went ahead and covered that up. Oop, that's a big boo-boo. It's something that you will get caught on occasion when you are trying to do formatting. Realize that it grabs, with Format Painter, it grabs all of the formatting. So let me go ahead and undo that and say, okay, we don't want to do that again. So I'm going to select this and click Format Painter. And this time, if I wanted to do it maybe on this one, it's going to take the 5 cells and merge them together, and now I haven't affected any of these, and so it's done all that. So on something like a title like that where you've done some merging, just be careful. In this case, though, notice though, I have been able to format just by clicking on one cell that has all the formatting and then clicking that Format Painter, clicking on another cell, and instantaneously, poof, it has that. I can also do that by the way, for a range of cells. I could have selected, you know, all these cells and said, hey, I want to format that with that particular ability. Now that's one way of doing it. Let me go ahead and undo that capability. Another way that we can do this is by using the Style menu. So with Format Painter, we're selecting individual cells or range of cells and then just copy and pasting the formatting onto another cell or range of cells. But what if I just want to be able to just select something and have it preset, ready to go? I select a cell and say, look, I want it to appear this way, or a range of cells, and I don't have to constantly go back and find that particular style. Or maybe I want to make this available to other workbooks at some point. That's where styles come into play. Well, the first thing I'm going to want to do is deselect this, so I can come over here and click Edit and Clear, and that way it deselects that. Let's say I wanted to create a style, though, based upon what I have up here. So if I select it just like this, I can come up to Format, click Format, and click on Style. Once I've done that, it's going to say, all right, what do you want to do? Now, I could, if I want to, reapply the normal style. Now the normal style is just your standard cell. Like over here you can see my buddy Dan or Jeremy here, employees, and it's what? It's a blank cell pretty much with text. It's Arial text, I think 10 point. It is yeah, Arial 10, general, bottom of line, no borders, no shading, but it's locked. Okay, so that's a normal. Now if I click OK, it will apply the style to the selected cells that I have. In this case, my merge cell, I don't want to do that, but I do want to create a new style based upon that. So here you'll notice it's all highlighted. If it wasn't, if it was like this, you can just double click and say, I want to call this Sky Blue Title. Watch what happened. As soon as I started typing, did you see how it says the style includes by example? It's pulling this information from what you see right here, 2006 employee, PTO, availability with all the formatting that I have. So when I say that, it says, okay, no, not a problem. We'll put the general in, the horizontal, the Arial 12 bold. It does have a certain type of shade. If I wanted to modify this and add another feature, I could click Modify. And here's where I can come back and notice it says Arial Bold 12. My pattern is sky blue. If I wanted to change it or adjust it or add something, maybe the number, I didn't really talk about numbers, but I want to make dates a certain way. I could click on date here and change it, but we'll just leave it as general. I click OK. At this point, I can add this as one of my styles. So I click Add, and it says, okay, you now have the sky blue title as one of your capabilities. And notice, instead of just the commas, you get 2 commas, 2 currencies, a normal, and a percent. These are your standard, just out of the box. I've now added sky blue title. Not a problem. So let me do this. Now, let's say I wanted to create, though, a new currency one. So I can come up here, and I can go back to the normal. Now, until I click OK, I want you to see this. It won't change anything over here. It's going to keep it the same. But I'm going to want to create normal plus. So normal plus. Now, right now, it will grab, by example, what I have here. But I don't want to do that. So I'm going to click Modify, and I'm going to say, no, I want, yeah, the numbers, I want the currency where any negative numbers are in red, decimal points are 2. The alignment, I want to wrap the text. My font, I want Times New Roman. Scroll up here, all the available fonts. I want it regular, but I do want it 12. Border, or the patterns, I can go gray. That sounds good. You know I love my gray. And I click OK. At this point, I now have a new one, and so I can add it. See, here's my normal plus, here's my sky blue title, and I have now added 2 new styles that I can use at any point in time. Now, if I click close, watch what happens. Nothing. I haven't applied it. I'd have to click OK to change that particular one. But let's say I want to go to PTO used, and I want to apply a style. I can go Format, Style, select the one I want, sky blue title, click OK, and there we go. Notice it will not, unlike Format Painter, which grabs everything that happened with that selected cell, this one did not. Instead, it said, I'm just going to use the particular the colors, the fonts, the style, but I am not going to merge the cells together. That's why styles can be used a little bit more safely than the Format Painter, because sometimes you never know what's kind of all the formatting that's included as part of that cell. In this case, we know that we're just doing the font, the colors, and the things that we have. Now, we all know that if I create these styles, that they are based in this workbook. But what if I want to take this style and maybe move it to another workbook because I really like this? Or, in my case, because I'm not really artsy-craftsy, and I've seen a lot of people's workbooks and styles and things that they use, and I go, wow, that's cool. I want to use that. So, for example, let's say I have my good buddy Dan over here. Has a really good style, and I say, hey, Dan, can you help me out? I like one of your styles that you use, your big title style, and I want to add it to this workbook so I can use it. Well, what I can do is Dan can then send me that workbook or a copy of the workbook, maybe take all the text and the stuff out of it, but you still leave the styles in. So let me go ahead and open up Dan's style here. So I'll have 2 workbooks open. So once I have that, and notice he sent me one that has his style. I'll show you format, style, and there's big title. That's what it is. So I go ahead and cancel this. Let me go ahead and show you back behind here. I still have that open, and I'm going to open up my unformatted PTO content that we've been using. And let's say I want to add one of those styles. So I'm going to merge it. Format, style. And then here you notice we kind of ignored this button up until now, but it's the merge functionality. When I click merge, it's going to say, hey, where do you want to merge the style from? Now, you have to have the other workbook open in order for this to work. If I didn't have Dan's style XLS open, I wouldn't have been able to grab it. So I click on it. I click OK. Now watch. I've got big title. I've got my sky blue title, I've got my normal. So I've merged the available types of style that I can use just based upon somebody giving me a copy of their workbook. I can then merge their very cool styles. Maybe they designed something that's just absolutely phenomenal. You can borrow that and utilize it in your own workbook. It is absolutely cool. So we've seen how we can use these styles. Now, what if I want to get rid of one? That's one last thing we can show you. I can select one like maybe the normal plus. I don't like that one. I can go ahead and click on delete, and it will remove normal plus as one of my styles. You'll notice, though, if I select on comma, the one that you can't delete is the normal. The standard, you can't delete. Now, you can delete these other ones if you want, whatever you want. If I want to get rid of big title, I could delete that one. But I can't I can't delete normal. That one automatically, boop, it says, nope, you can't delete that. That's our standard default. We have to have that in place. So let me go ahead and close this and show you 2 other things here before the end of the video. The first is going to be how I can auto-fill our content into cells. That's a good example. Well, let's go ahead and show you here. So let's say, for example, under identification badges, that the identification badge starts off with 1001 and then continues on through the, all the way from 1001 all the way to 1010. No problem. What I can do is merely select and type in 1001. And if you notice, we've got the little symbol here, black plus sign. That means autofill. If I click and select as I move down, it will automatically fill in the 1001. Now it shows you the autofill options. I can say, you know what? I can do fill series, and it will automatically say, okay, you wanted that to be a series, not just a set of copying that number all the way through. And so the options that I have are really cool. I can say, you know what, I just want the formatting. I want to fill it without the formatting, or I just want to copy the cells, which is by default what it will do when you're utilizing the numbers. With something like dates, like here, I'm using obviously standard dates here. I could have it go in order on dates, or I'll go over here to G and show you this one. Let's say I wanted to type in January. Now I can go over here. There's my plus autofill, and I'm going to go down and we'll go and notice how it's saying, oh, January, I recognize you want to do all of the dates. So I can go January, February, March, April, May, June, July. I can do all that. So that's autofill. So that's another fast way to format or place content within the cells that you have. Now that we have autofill out of the way, one last thing we want to show you, and that is hyperlink. Now, when you think about hyperlinking, you typically think of what? Going to another website, right? You're linking to another website. Well, in Excel, you can do that, but you can also open up another software application. You can link to a specific spot on a particular page in your workbook, like on a different sheet. So let's show you how to do that. Let me go ahead and just delete the content that we have there. Let's say I wanted to go ahead and make this cell a hyperlink to maybe a place on sheet 2. Okay, we can do that. So I come up here to the Insert menu, down-click over here to Hyperlink, and if you notice, it says, where do you want to link to? Now, you can do it to the existing file or a web page. I can open up a new Excel. I can say, hey, right there, it can be a link to open up Dan's style, workbook. A place in this document, and that's the one I want to show you right here, is you notice it says the cell reference on sheet 1, sheet 2, sheet 3. If we would have had all those, if I added more sheets, down here, I could be able to link to any place on there. And the cell reference, which can be a range of cells or to a particular area. In this case, let's say I want to do sheet 2 for A1. I want to go to the very top one on A1. Just for grins and giggles, we'll do that. Notice it says the text to display is going to be the same thing. Sheet 2, and it's kind of going, we'll just say, sheet 2 title, because maybe that's where the title is. I think I put something there, but let's go ahead and say that. The screen tip, the same thing you can see here is that not only can you have the text to display in the cell, but when you roll over it, you can give it a screen tip text, and this is usually a descriptor. This will point to the title page of sheet 2. So when I click OK, and then I click OK again, watch, it now gives me a hyperlink. Let me deselect here, and it says sheet 2 title. That's what it is. And when I roll over it, there's my screen tip. It says this will point to the title page of sheet 2. So again, this is just real simple, really straightforward. Now when I click on that now, boop, it took me over to sheet 2, A1. In this case, maybe I was going to say this is quarter 2 is going to be the title that I use here on sheet 2. So it took me right to the place that I asked it. And I can click back on sheet 1, and there it is. Shows that I've already visited that link. Now I can also do something, maybe a link to a web page, or how about this? Let's say Christina here is the HR boss. And it just so happens in our little company, she's the HR person. And when people view this, they want to be able to ask Christina questions. Well, I can create this as an email link. So where it says Christina. So all I need to do is hit Insert, Hyperlink, and now it already shows the current text that's in there. I am going to say I want to make that an email address. So Christina, it'll still show up as blue, and we'll say it's Christina at cbtnuggets.com, question, and we'll put that there. And then it says, there was one I used, I already practiced on this, so it shows that. And I can say, hey, we'll do Christina at cbtnuggets.com with a question. And my screen tip is going to be email HR manager Christina. Click OK. I now click OK again. Now watch this. I now, out of all of these employees, Christina is now a hyperlink. Now, if I roll over it, it says I'm going to email the HR manager, Christina, by clicking on this link. Now, when I do that, it's going to open up Microsoft Outlook or Outlook Express, whatever your default email program is, and it will populate the subject line with the question and then put in the email or send to Christina's email address. Very cool. So you can see that the functionality here that we have, again, all the things that we've shown you, whether it's formatting, and these are a little bit more advanced, merging cells for titles, utilizing autofill, doing all these things, format painter, these are all built into Excel to help make it easier for you to use and also to make it look good and give you increased functionality. We really covered some very advanced, cool features when it comes to data and content formatting. The first thing we took a look at was the format painter. The ability to go in and select something and say, I want to copy the exact formatting, everything that's been done to this particular cell or group of cells, and apply it to wherever I click. We can then also, though, maybe preset that with something called styles, where I can create a certain type of formatting and then say, hey, I want to be able to apply that, preset that a little bit earlier on. Then we had autofill. Autofill allows us to take ranges of numbers, dates, other content, where we start with one number and we start the series going down through a column or across a row, and then it will ask us, do you want to create a series? Do you want to copy this? Maybe I don't want to have to type in a date, for 100 different things. Well, I can just fill that range and just pull it down. So that's really cool. And then finally, we took a look at hyperlinks and how it's not just about web pages anymore. We have the ability to go in and create links to places on our worksheets and our workbooks. We have the ability to open up other software applications, maybe create an email link or even a webmail link. That's also a possibility, all through the use of hyperlinks. I hope this has been informative for you, and I'd like to thank you for viewing.